Alrighty. Okay, so I believe we are live now on Facebook. So I am Marcia Civic with Be Provided Conservation Radio, and I am here virtually with Korinna Domingo, and she is the director and founder of the Cougar Conservancy. So welcome to the show, Korinna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. I love mountain lions, and I've talked to a few people on our show, like the Puma Project and Beth Pratt, about mountain lions, and I could talk forever. So I'm interested to hear what you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Cougar Conservancy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I am an LA native. So I was born and raised in Los Angeles. And, before I got into wildlife sciences, I was actually working in, the industry doing hair and makeup on set. And
Wow.
I went to the LA Zoo one year for, Valentine's Day or something like that. And I saw my first snow leopard in person. And I learned about the conservation issues surrounding snow leopards. And I was inspired. And so I went and went home and applied to community college and went to school and got my degree in wildlife science. And years later down the road, here I am. But my background is in wildlife biology. So I went to Humboldt State University and got my bachelor's in wildlife management and conservation biology. It's a long title, but wildlife science.
Mm-hmm.
And and I've had a very various jobs throughout college, and then I eventually, got into the mountain lion conservation realm as a volunteer for the first ever P22 day.
Oh,
So
nice. So
yeah,
this
I
is the
volunteered.
fifth year, right? Coming up. So we'll talk
I
about that.
think it's
But
the fifth year.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you became the volunteer for P22 Day when it first started?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the first ever P22 day, I applied to be a volunteer, and then that's when I ended up meeting my future boss, Lynn Collins, the former executive director for the Mountain Lion Foundation. And then I worked with the Mountain Lion Foundation for about 4 years and then graduated. Sorry, I think that was my computer.
That's okay.
Graduated from school, worked for them for a little bit longer, and then this year founded the Cougar Conservancy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So yeah, that's quite a long list of experience. So what draws you to mountain lions? You're just always a cat person?
I'll be completely honest there. I definitely have always been a cat person. So
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the 90s. I'm 28 years old. And, my favorite movie as a kid was The Lion King. And
Mm-hmm.
so growing up in a city, I didn't really have access to a lot of nature on a day-to-day basis. And so I really loved movies like The Lion King and Tarzan and The Little Mermaid, that transported me to other places. And my uncle Nick actually was one of the artists on The Lion King too, so it was also part of our family culture
Mm-hmm.
at the same time as well. And then again, when I went to the San Diego Zoo, I saw a snow leopard, and I learned about basically the issues surrounding retaliatory killing. So when a snow leopard kills somebody's livestock, oftentimes there's a retaliatory killing and the snow leopard gets killed. And so it was really through the Lion King and then my experience at the zoo. And so it's been this weird fluid thing. But then I did find Beth Pratt's book when she when she first launched it, When Mountain Lions Are Neighbors. I have it behind me here.
Yeah, I do too
And
somewhere. Yeah.
then I read it, and then I applied to be a volunteer at P22 Day, and that kind of launched me into doing conservation work for big cats here in my own country, in my own hometown, as opposed to some faraway place like in Africa or in snow leopard habitat.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So can we lead into a conversation about P22? I know people have probably, I hope my listeners have listened to Beth Pratt's interview about P22, but can you talk a little bit about what's coming up tomorrow and
Yeah.
what P22 represents? So,
Yeah, P22 is a mountain lion that made his way from the Santa Monica Mountains and crossed the 405 and the 101 freeway and now lives in Griffith Park. So he's known to have the smallest home range for any mountain lion. It's about 9 square miles, and their territories are normally, they fluctuate depending on what area it is, but about 200 square miles. And so P22 really became a symbol of hope and coexistence for mountain lions and other large predators living in these huge mega cities. And so over the last few years, the National Wildlife Federation has collaborated with other organizations to bring about P22 Day, and it's an official day in Los Angeles now. And so every year we have P22 Day and Urban Wildlife Week. And so Urban Wildlife Week is going on right now. There's a ton of live events going on P22's Facebook page, a lot of speakers and movies. But P22 Day is virtual this year, of course, during the pandemic. And so you guys can join us. It's now a worldwide event since we're no longer kind of tapered to being in Griffith Park in person. So people are going to be tuning in from all over. It's free, it's virtual, and you can register at p22wonderland.org.
oh, great. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the website. So I will also post that as well. So it's great. So P22 I always refer to as like the loneliest bachelor because no other mate has been able to get over to him, but he seems to be doing okay. And that's very hopeful. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So, I wanted to get into this coexistence a little bit with mountain lions and how, I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains. I'm in mountain lion country as well. And there's always a buzz about how safe we are when we're hiking. Do we really need to be afraid? And I know people have probably seen that viral 6-minute video of the Utah runner being pursued by the mama, protecting her cubs. So how much do we really have to worry about, a mountain lion attack, and what can we do to be safe?
I think that I don't think we should be worried. I think that the chances of you having a encounter with a cougar is extremely low. And so I think that I think how we have to talk about these things is more of how can we prepare ourselves and be knowledgeable on how to recreate or live in cougar habitat. And there's really simple precautions we can take when we're out on the trail. Simple things like not wearing earbuds, hiking in a group, making noise, walking and talking, or clapping your hands around blind turns, choosing to hike, during the daytime. Of course, I know that's not always easy, especially in really hot areas like Los Angeles in the summer.
Right.
But carrying an air horn or bear spray if you feel like you need it because you hike alone and maybe like a higher risk category recreator. So there's things that we can do both on the trail and of course at home as well. Most of the conflicts that do occur with cougars do happen not on the trails, but in our backyards and in our neighborhoods because we share space with mountain lions. So there are things that we could do at home as well, like keeping pets indoors when they're not supervised, and supervising them, of course, when they are outdoors. Not keeping your dog out on a leash in your backyard, tied to a tree. Right. Keeping livestock and hobby animals in lion-proof enclosures. So there's so much that we can do. I think we're very smart animals in order to prevent conflicts with cougars because cougars aren't going anywhere. We're going to continue to share spaces with them. And so I think that the general public in general is just learning more about how to coexist both on the trail and at home.
That makes sense. And this is a big concentration of your education with the Cougar Conservancy, correct? You do have some resources on your website, and I believe, and that's cougarconservancy.org, correct? Okay.
You got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Our mission is really to reduce human wildlife conflict
Mm-hmm.
and conserve cougar populations through science based management and conservation. So we're all about coexistence, preventing or responding to or mitigating conflicts, and sharing space with these large carnivores. So we have a suite of different videos on our website. They're short, they're simple, they give you actual practical tools on what to do at home or on the trail, to be a good neighbor to wildlife.
Perfect. Perfect. So I don't hear often of mountain lion attacks, but there is so much fear. That's why I wanted to bring that up. But it's very rare that a human has been attacked or killed, I believe, by a mountain lion. Is that correct in saying? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's correct.
Yeah.
We actually have such little data on these encounters and attacks because they happen so rarely that it's almost it's difficult for us to even draw out certain statistics and stuff from these attacks because they happen so rarely, and our sample size is just so small.
Yeah.
But of course, when it does happen, it's something that our organization and the conservation community does take very seriously. It's always very unfortunate when someone does have a close encounter, or heaven forbid, is involved in an attack with a mountain lion. And so we definitely never want to downplay that, but it is definitely, a rare occurrence for it to happen. You shouldn't be too worried about it, in other words.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, I was glad that the runner was safe and everything, and that all turned out well. But that showed a good, I don't know, to me, that was a good video to see, that she was just protecting her babies. And I'm sure scary for the runner. But anyways.
Yeah,
But,
Kyle, his name, the trail runner's name is Kyle Burgess, and he
oh,
reached out to the Cougar Conservancy after that incident happened, and we're collaborating with him. He really wants to use his platform to talk about, coexistence with mountain lions and other wildlife. He's interested in learning more about mountain lions and their ecology and behavior and
great.
how they can help wildlife just in general. And so we look forward to speaking with him. We're actually going to be talking with him tomorrow on an Instagram Live as part of the P22 Day Festival. So you can go on our Facebook page for more information on that.
Oh, terrific. I'd love to hear that. And I think Kyle's online right now. So hi,
Oh, nice. Well,
Kyle. So yeah, good, good. I didn't know his name. I was thinking that might be him. So, well, good. So, I know a lot of people I know are really afraid of mountain lions, but I don't. Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad that you cleared some of that up. So, what are the threats that mountain lions are facing right now?
yeah, so I'll speak to California cougars just because that's where our work
Yeah.
predominantly lies. There are various causes for mortality for California mountain lions. They include things like depredation,
Hmm.
or when a mountain lion or a cougar destroys property. So property can be defined as anything from an alpaca to a chicken to a dog to a goat. And so we kill about 100 mountain lions a year in the state of California on depredation permits. And we kill about another 100 on the roads. So we lose about 200 a year. And those numbers, they wane. But road strikes are definitely an issue for mountain lions in California. Environmental toxicants. So we've been hearing a lot about rodenticide or anticoagulant rodenticide in the news lately because Assembly Bill 1788 was just passed and signed by Governor Newsom. And so, secondary poisoning is definitely an issue for cougars in California as well. And poaching occurs. We don't have good numbers on that, as you can imagine. But poaching definitely happens.
Hmm.
And of course, orphaning can occur due to any one of these causes of mortality. Something more on our radar lately, of course, is the increase in human caused wildfires. And so, again, we
Hmm.
don't have numbers on how many, mountain lions are killed due to these wildfires that are blazing throughout our state. But it's definitely an emerging threat. We've always thought that mountain lions, can make their way out of a fire. But over the last few years, we've been having more frequent and more severe fires. And the California Department of Fish and Wildlife has been receiving a lot more burned animals. And so this is definitely a new and emerging threat. Um, but I'll leave it at that because I mean, you could talk about habitat fragmentation
Right,
and
right.
decrease in genetic diversity. I mean, mountain lions in California are facing a lot of different challenges depending on, kind of what subpopulations you're talking about.
Correct, yeah. So I believe that the southern mountain lions, there's not very many. They were just listed, correct, as threatened, I want to say, or not endangered. Is that in Southern California? But could,
So last year, I co-led efforts with the Mountain Lion Foundation and the Center for Biological Diversity. We petitioned the California Fish and Game Commission to list southern and central coast mountain lions under the California Endangered Species Act. And so where we're at right now with the CISA timeline, so I don't have to keep saying California Endangered Species Act, with the CISA timeline is in April of this year, the California Fish and Game Commission voted to consider listing these select populations under the
okay,
state's ESA. And so now what we're doing is we're waiting on the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. They're evaluating the petition, and there's going to be a vote in summer of next year, so 2021,
okay,
where the commission will actually say they're going to be listed or not. So right now they're a candidate species, but what that means is they still have all the protections of a state listed species. And they could be listed as either threatened or endangered.
okay, okay. And for all of the state of California, the numbers, how are they? Do you know that? I know I'm just throwing that out of the blue to you, but I don't know if you know like approximate numbers of the state of California for mountain lion.
Oh, as in how many mountain lions do we have?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the golden question that everybody wants to know.
It's probably hard
And
to say. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why Justin Dillinger kind of was hired by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Initially, one of the first research objectives for his position was to identify how many mountain lions are there in California. And you can estimate cougar populations based in certain things. So you could do a habitat suitability analysis
Hmm.
and look at how much suitable habitat is there, and then use certain math with mountain lion density to try and extrapolate on how many there are. But what I'll say is that the California Department of Fish and Wildlife is still undergoing this kind of effort, and they will have sort of a number, an estimated number for how many mountain lions there are in the next few years. But some populations are smaller than others. And so generally, some people say that, there's anywhere from 3,100 lions in California, but I really don't go by any of those numbers. I'm waiting for the department to determine sort of how many there are.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I could go on about that for a little longer, but I'll stop there. I'll stop.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I want to start leading into, and before I do that, if any listeners out there have any questions, please, comment and we'll try to get to your questions. So that's what we're here for today too, is to answer your questions as well that you may have. But I'd like to hear some, success stories. There's a couple things uh, that or that I've seen through your Instagram page and such that have been happening. One is the wildlife crossing. Um, the drawings and the specs are starting to come into fruition, and it's making it look like it's real. And this is on the Save LA Cougars website, or they're kind of leading this. Is that correct? So
Yes. Yeah, so we're not an official partner of the crossing itself. We're
Yeah.
working in partnership with the Save LA Cougars campaign, and we're providing, opportunities for outreach and education, and working with communities living on both sides of the crossing. But there are, official partners that are working on the actual construction of the crossing itself. And so, yes, they just came out with some new renderings of what the crossing is going to look like. They have some awesome images of some of the animals that are going to benefit from the crossing. And yeah, it's good news. I mean, they're hitting the ground running in 2021, starting construction.
Great.
They really need to stay on goal with fundraising initiatives. And so if you can donate, right now there is a donor who's matching donations up to $10,000 this week for P22 Day. And so you can support that way or spread the word online, hashtag Save LA Cougars. But that's definitely a positive thing happening. We talked about Assembly Bill 1788 passing recently.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
that moratorium is going into effect in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And we have another, success story that happened recently. And I have a little video that I can show you guys where we rescued a mountain lion that was badly burned in the wildfires here in Southern California. And so let me share my screen here, and I'll show this minute-long video here.
That's great. This was in Monrovia, correct?
Yes. So the San Gabriel Mountains in Southern California.
Okay.
That was likely burned in the Bobcat fire is finally on the mend after she turned up in a Monrovia backyard. Eyewitness News reporter Eileen Frere has more on her rescue and what's being done to help her.
I walked out here and walked around the corner here.
Gary Potter recalling the shocking discovery in his Monrovia backyard.
The cat was stretched out right here in the grass, just staring at me. And I went, hello. And I just kind of slowly backed myself up and back into the house.
Potter says he believed the cougar was injured in the nearby Bobcat fire. Wildlife experts warning residents animals escaping the flames could end up in unusual places like backyards.
At first, I just took some pictures, assuming it was going to get up and leave, but then she didn't leave. I mean, she just licked and licked and licked her feet.
Potter contacted the nonprofit Cougar Conservancy.
I let him know that he should keep an eye on things. If she was still there in the morning, probably something was wrong and we needed to call somebody out.
Early morning, Potter says the cougar startled him awake.
I heard this scream. It was on all fours, and it just looked like it was free to move.
I contacted the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and let them know where we were at in the situation.
The next day, the Cougar Conservancy and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, or CDFW, located the cat. Biologists say all 4 of the cougar's paws were burned and bleeding. The team says it immediately took the injured cougar to a local veterinarian for assessment. Soon after, the animal was transferred to the CDFW's Wildlife Investigations Lab in Sacramento. Veterinarians say she is responding positively to treatment. Eileen Frere, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
No.
Oh, that's great. So you were able to go in there, rescue her, and she healed. And how's she doing now?
Yeah, she's, I'll be honest, she's been having a tough go, through her recovery. It's not as easy for the department, and UC Davis is also involved to treat mountain lions, although they are good at it. The bears, there was a bear that came in about the same time as the Monrovia cougar, and he was already released like last week or a week and a half ago. But cats have a lot more challenges. They really don't like anything on their paws. And so if they could keep the bandage on for an hour or two, it's better than nothing. So they use this Tilapia skins to, soothe the paws and help with healing. But when she came in, she was skinny. They determined that her paws had probably been like that for about a week or two. And so her health was in drastic decline. She was severely dehydrated. And so getting into captivity, the first thing was really to get her stable and get some nutrition in her. And that took a while too, as well, to get an animal to eat that's a wild animal in captivity. But they're so wonderful. CDFW and UC Davis were monitoring her around the clock when she was in, when she's in getting treatment. They have trail cameras so that they can see her, but they keep her, away, and they don't have any contact with her except when they need to change her bandages and provide food for her. She's eating meatballs, lots of meatballs right now, and she slowly started to eat again and started healing. But it was a tough go for her. She's set to be released soon. So stay tuned for that. This is really a conservation success story, and it's not something that's happening just in our own backyard. I just spoke with some Panthera folks down in Pantanal, and I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but they just rescued a jaguar that was badly burned from the wildfires there. Asado is now in the wild again, and so and then we remember Australia, all the kangaroos we were seeing, and koalas and stuff like that. And so the state's actually taken a statewide approach now to responding to these conflicts that are occurring due to wildfires, and they created an entire new network for people to call. And some of it's really awesome. I was reading some of the plans, and they may even have reconnaissance missions for after a wildfire to actually go out and look for injured animals. I mean, this is something that the state has never taken. I mean, this is a big deal that they're planning this, and that we're planning for the future to take care of animals, because most of these wildfires are caused by humans. Right. So it's our responsibility to try and help them, which is wonderful. So.
Oh, terrific. Well, that gives me hope, I think. Yeah. Definitely that they're implementing that and having a plan to go in there. That's amazing. So, well, thank you for rescuing her and being part of that whole situation. I hope she's okay. It sounds like she's going to be on the mend, so and heal properly. Do you release her back in the same area?
I just want to see her. I want to see that video of her running back.
Yeah, open the crate and just let her. Yeah.
Because when we saw her, she could barely walk. So like she like was trying to get away from us, but like she couldn't even move. And so there's no way that she would have been able to take down a natural food source like a deer. And so I'd like to think that even though this has probably been very stressful on her, I'd like to think that that we gave her another chance despite it being this huge event in her life. So I think they estimated her to be about 7 years old, 6 or 7. So she's got some time to live out her life in the wild in the San Gabriels. So
terrific. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And how old can mountain lions live to? I guess I don't know that. They can live a relatively long time if all goes well, right? So
yeah, I feel like it's just like the case of like a domestic house cat. Like a domestic house cat can live, 20 years in your home, in your apartment with all the treats and food. But mountain lions in the wild, they have they can have a pretty long lifespan. But mountain lions in mountain lions in captivity, sorry. Yeah. But mountain lions in the wild, about 13 years is probably a good number. I know that P22, like bringing it back to P22 Day being tomorrow, he's like 10 years old now. So P22 is getting old. He's not young anymore.
Our lonely little bachelor. So he's so handsome too. So. So
when he doesn't have mange, yes.
So he only had mange one time, that we know of, correct? Or I mean, we'd have to know of it, yeah. So I'm sure that's enough for him, but I'm glad that he was rescued and treated properly. So
yeah, which was a unique situation for a mountain lion to be in. The fact that he was being tracked as part of a study definitely was key in him getting treatment. National Park Service got permission from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to actually go ahead and treat him. But the fact of the matter is most mountain lions and other wildlife that are subjected to things like anticoagulants and end up getting mange, they're almost never treated. there is the occasional, bobcat or something like that that does make it into a wildlife rehabilitation center. But we actually just picked up a bobcat at the museum in somebody's neighborhood that looked mangy one day. People sent us photos, and then another day we got a call that the bobcat was dead, and so we went and picked it up. So a lot of these things, they just go unreported, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're so elusive. They're hard to see. And have you ever seen P-22? Have you gone hiking in Griffith
No.
Park?
I think some people have said they've seen P-22. I think that they, I'm not sure about that. But no, I've done so much field work, in some of the most wild places, and I've never seen a mountain lion just out on the trail. I mean, I've seen them when we've captured them to collar them. Mm-hmm. I saw the Monrovia one when we were rescuing her, but no, I've actually never seen a mountain lion being a mountain lion on the trail before.
Yeah, I never have either. We used to do a lot of backwoods, camping and backpacking, and they're around, I'm sure, but yeah. So interesting. Yeah, I interviewed the Puma Project, just an aside, but they said that they had a project where they had a video and audio tape where a mountain lion would take her kill and eat it. And it was near a trail, and every time she would come near, the audio would either play frogs or something natural, and she would sit there and eat it. She wouldn't budge. But when the audio triggered a human voice, she would pick up her food, take it, and hide it even deeper into the woods. So that made me feel safer as well. Like, if they hear our voices or any noise, we're not going to see them, unless we do encounter them with babies or something. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example of where does this information come from as we're educating the public and giving these safety tips. A lot of these things we know kind of colloquially and through just like knowledge over time. But Chris Wilmer's study with how human voices affect and impact mountain lion behavior is a great example of the fact that, they don't want anything to do with us. They hear our voices, they pretty much turn tail. And so that's one of the reasons why we say when you're on the trail, talk. Mm-hmm. Another one is because you never want to surprise a black bear. You don't want to surprise a cougar. And so, you want to let them know that, hey, I'm going to make some noise and talk or clap my hands just so you don't surprise an animal. So yeah. Nice.
So what can we do? Getting back into, I know we're getting into time here, but talk about P-22 Day and your events again tomorrow. Do you want to reiterate when you'll be on speaking and when we can catch those live events?
Yeah, sure. So tomorrow, P-22 Day starts at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be sure you're registered so you can actually go in and get into the event. Once you're registered, there's going to be all sorts of exhibits and things that you can do inside the exhibit. I'll be quiet on that so I don't have any, I don't say anything I'm not supposed to say.
Yeah.
Secret, but it's going to be great.
Alert. Yeah.
But you can go to our Facebook page, Cougar Conservancy. We have a 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Instagram Live with Miguel Ordeñana, the mountain lion biologist who discovered P-22 initially. He's from the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County. At 3:00, we're doing a more in-depth presentation and Q&A with him on the Natural History Museum of LA County's Facebook page. 10 a.m., we have an Instagram Live with conservation artist Lee Douglas, so check that out. And then we have an event with Kyle, time to be decided. So just check our Facebook page.
Great. Yeah. So this is going on all day, but then we can access the exhibits anytime, I believe. That'll be ongoing after the festival as well. So
yes, and P-22's Facebook page, there's going to be live events pretty much all day long, and so it's going to be hard. You're not going to be able to multitask to do everything, and so be sure to check back in the festival because there's going to be a lot of great things like films and stuff you could watch at a later time. Awesome. I know we're all through our Netflix, like we all have nothing to watch now because we've been in quarantine and So this will be good for us.
That'll be good. Yeah, something new for sure. I know. I'm looking for a new series or something to watch. But yeah, so how can we help? You mentioned donating. Is there any other way people can help with this cause, with promoting, educating, anything you can think of? So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can support the Cougar Conservancy if you want to support our work and our ability to go out and save cougars like the Monrovia cougar. That was done through our conflict task force. So our conflict task force goes out and we investigate situations. We help people coexist. We help fortify existing structures or build new enclosures for people. And so you can volunteer with us. You can just share our mission in our website. That's free. That doesn't take anything except some time. So share our work, volunteer with us, become part of our team. Of course, you can always donate on our cougarconservancy.org website. For the Save LA Cougars campaign, same thing. If you can donate, your $5 will be $10, because it'll be matched this week. So if you can financially donate, that would be great. But come join the festival, really just learn about urban wildlife, learn about tools that we can use to coexist, and share that with your family and your friends and your neighbors. And that's really the most impactful thing that you can do. When you follow us or the Save LA Cougars campaign, we always post opportunities when the public can get involved with things like policy. And so, if you want to support the California Endangered Species Act petition, you can go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, and we'll let the public know when there's another opportunity to write in letters of support or testify at a commission meeting to show your support. We're going to need a lot of support on that in the next year. So just follow us, and we keep you guys updated on our social media channels and through our newsletter.
Great. Yeah, you guys are very informative. And I was just going to show my P22 mask. Can I do that?
Yes.
And so if you can't do a lot, you can also, you can order this fun little mask of P22. It won't go on. But
over the headphones.
I know, yeah, it won't go over the big ears. So, but I love it. I know every other cat mask I had has the eyes on it, and it's like, why would you put the eyes on it? You have to, So this is perfect. So. Well, thank you for your time today. I don't know. I don't see any questions, but I know we do have some listeners out there. They don't have any questions, but I will forward anything to you that we get after the fact. And So do you have any last words of wisdom about,
No. Yeah. Just join us for the festival this weekend, and stay tuned next week for an update on the Monrovia cougar. We're going to have some exciting news.
Oh, good. Yeah, what a beautiful kitty. So, yeah. So
thank
awesome.
you, Marcia.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time, and goodbye, everybody. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future. So